So call now for free information and consultation. We'll give you the secret to this money-saving program absolutely free. Get eye-opening information that could save you thousands of dollars a year or a month, depending on how much you owe. In fact, the more you owe, the more you can save. All you need is $10,000 or more in credit debt, medical bills, or department store debt to qualify. Call for free debt forgiveness information now at 800-546-2909. That's 800-546-2909. To discover the secret to having your credit card debt forgiven, call 800-546-2909. 800-546-2909. Don't wait, call now. 800-546-2909.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 55 years. Carpet Masters uses extraction cleaning for your carpet because there's no better cleaning to remove the soil from your carpet. All of our furniture cleaning is done by hand in your home or in our plant. Carpet Masters also offers dry cleaning for fine furniture. Call Carpet Masters at 793-7215. That's 793-7215 for Carpet Masters.
Do you have a broken window or rock chip on your vehicle that needs repair? Give us a call at HM Auto Glass, 951-858-5190. HM Auto Glass is your locally owned and operated auto glass specialist, offering low cost and high quality auto glass repair and replacement. We also work with all major insurance companies and offer free mobile service. So call us, 951-858-5190. That number again is 951-858-5190.
Is your radio station dull and boring like most corporate-owned stations on the dial? Then it's time to tune to KCAA 1050 AM. It will blow your mind and maybe expand it too. KCAA is your independently owned go-to station in the Inland Empire. It's a veritable cornucopia of crazy, an assemblage of awesome and cool, and it's a little weird too. KCAA pumps out more local and national radio each week than most major networks while offering CNBC business news headlines during the week and NBC sports news on weekends. KCAA is unique, interesting, quirky, and sometimes outlandishly crazy, which adds up to a high volume of awesome. And for you audiophiles, KCAA delivers FM sound quality to our transmitter, which is why KCAA is the best-sounding AM station on the dial. So make your day with KCAA and find us online at kcaaradio.com. KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
The founder of a world-renowned symphony made up of children.
The Inland Empire's most heroic teacher.
The world-famous mixed martial arts hero, Baptiste Mansour.
The lady who's saving homeless kids in Redlands.
The Inland Empire has thousands of community, business, and kid heroes. Each week, we share their stories with you. Join us for My Awesome Empire and find out why the Inland Empire is so great.
Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. on AM 1050 and KCAAradio.com.
Are you tired? Are you tired of being tired? Do you hate your job? Do you feel like you're on a hamster wheel and want to jump off into balanced living? Then tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. It's a show about hope and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So there's no CNN, constantly negative news, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk. Instead, you will hear callers ask Dr. Marissa, also known as the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, for advice about love, hate, money, jobs, sex, and what to do next. So join me every Thursday at 7 for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA AM 1050 NBC News Radio. This is Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah, signing off until then. Peace in and peace out.
Southern California's Inland Talk Express is KCAA News Talk 1050.
Hey! What the? Honey! The water just stopped in here.
They turned it off because you're wasting water.
What? What are you talking about?
You know.
Because you know it's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, drought. Yeah, it's pretty clear It's time to save it like we're supposed to do. Some say it's doom, gloom, and all our grass must go. But together we can make it and enjoy our golden state. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, drought.
Hey, welcome to the Water Zone with the boys.
Hey, welcome Southern California. This is Rob Starr along with Mr. Mike Barron, who happens to be on vacation today, but he's calling in. Mike, are you there?
I certainly am. I'm up in the northeastern Sierras, where normally it's clear and clean and beautiful, but unfortunately today it's a bit hazy because of the fire that's going on in the Fresno area. So unfortunate result of the drought. But hey, we're here, and we want to talk about water.
Absolutely. I just want everybody to know that Mike really is passionate about conserving water. I'm only saying this, Mike, because I have to tell you something, and I don't want you to get upset about it. And just so you know, the glass man's coming tomorrow. He's going to replace the window in your back door. I came over there today. I looked for the key. You didn't leave me the key. I thought you were going to leave me the key. And the reason I do this is because Mike saves more water than anybody else. He practices what he preaches, and he reduces so much water that I think it's as much as 3 neighbors. So I'm not as good as Mike, so I kind of brought the kids and the grandkids over, and we did a little laundry and washed the car and took a couple showers.
At my house?
Yeah. So I had to break the window open, so the glass man's coming tomorrow. I'm only kidding.
I thought you discovered this brand new way to conserve water. By,
I did. I'm going to your house when you're on vacation to use it because you save so much.
Over and taking a shower and doing your laundry.
Yeah, I mean you reduce your water almost 3 times than anybody else does. So I figured you can afford to. I can come over and do all that stuff and you wouldn't know it. But anyway, I'm only kidding. I didn't do that.
Right.
So
well, hey, we've all got to do what we've got to do to help bring that. Average number of gallons per person per day, which is what the state of California uses to measure how much water we're saving, which, by the way, in the month of June, do you know how much the state of California saves?
Big number.
A big number, 27.3%, which is the second month in a row that the state of California residents have succeeded in exceeding the governor's mandate to reduce water consumption by 25%. And I got to tell you something. I was doing some reading this past week, and, if we can just get to this predicted El Nino by keeping our lawns dormant or just on this side of death, we're not going to only be able to see green lawns again because of the extra precipitation that we're going to see with this El Nino, but we're also going to keep one of the greatest oxygen-producing landscape material in the country. Lawns produce a significant amount of oxygen, and they take in carbon dioxide. So did you know there's about 80 million home lawns across the country? That's been estimated by Ohio State University. And half of those lawns don't get any fertilizer, and they don't even have any irrigation. So
that's amazing.
The rest of them do. And, again, taking lawn out where maybe it's not as much needed, in medians, street medians, or narrow areas. But I just know my grandson loves to play on the lawn, and I just want to keep that going until this next good significant rain, hopefully in September or October, brings that lawn back to its...
well, it's supposed to be the Godzilla of El Ninos. But just to add to what you were talking about, the water use cut of 27%, just so everybody knows, 16 water agencies reported they couldn't meet that conservation goals. And that revelations could result in fines for them. So, and that came from Felicia Marcus from the State Water Resources Control Board. So a lot of them are good. A lot of good people are doing good stuff, and the 16 others need a little help on that. And hopefully they'll get back to that. And also,
I know one of our guests is actually with the California Urban Water Conservation Council that is going to be on a little bit later on in the program, and that's an association of water agencies. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about how water agencies help one another with best practices and good ideas and common goals. So,
and I guess you know that the news media of Los Angeles, they filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles for property owners who took the advantage of the Metropolitan Water District's turf rebate program, and
the one that like the $350 million.
Yeah. So they're going to keep it private for now, and the judge set a November court date so attorneys can, for the media outlets and the Department of Water and Power, can argue whether private information should be released to see who really benefited from the $340 million or $350. And there's rumors flying all over the place who got the money, and I'm not going to speculate on that. We'll wait till it all comes out in the wash, so to say. But,
so basically, on the one hand, there's the privacy rights of the private individuals who benefited, took out turf and benefited from the rebate.
Right.
On the other hand, because there was public money used to pay those rebates,
who got the money?
There are people want to know, hey, this is public money. All other public monies are reported, and people can have the right to ask for information about that. So it's interesting how these two sets of rights are diametrically opposed at this particular instance, and it's two huge water agencies. One, obviously, the retail agency, LADWP, versus Metropolitan Water District, who doesn't sell to any retailer. I mean, they don't sell to you or to me as consumers. They sell only to the member agencies that comprise that organization. So be interesting. So you say in November, huh?
Yeah, that's when they come out.
Be funny, huh? If it's raining on that day when they announce the verdict.
Well, they said today it's going to be a gigantic one. I forget the term, the behemoth one. But when it rains, and if it does come, especially in Southern California, there's not enough holes in the ground to do that, and we really need it in the snow area. And down here, what's it going to do? It's going to hit the ground and run off to the ocean. So that's an issue. I did talk to a friend of mine today, Chris Kaiser. He's president of the Outdoor Power Equipment Institute, and he says he's been approached by people who want to do the right thing by the environment because of the drought thing, and but they ask if they can still have space for their kids or dogs to play. So he says, yeah, he agrees with that. He says, rains will come eventually, and possibly this year with that El Nino that everybody's talking about, because they had a big announcement of that El Nino thing today with the behemoth thing. And says brown lawns are not a bad thing. The grass will come back. He also said that he's also starting to see academics ask about unintended consequences of tearing out turf, like taking away the country's #1 carbon sink. So we're going to see what happens on that. We have in a couple of weeks a professor from UCR talk about the benefits of turf grass and stuff. Let me get out the numbers for people to call in if they want to ask some questions. Our local number in the 909 is 909-888-5222. And if you're calling outside that area code, it's 888-909-1050. And you're listening to KCAA 1050 AM. We do have a caller, and it's a gentleman named Lou from Yucaipa. Lou, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Look, I heard the show. I heard the show a couple weeks ago, and here's the thing. I have 2 kids under 10. I have 3 German Shepherds. I have 2 cats. I have a working household. And you know what kids and dogs and cats all love?
Food.
Nice, cool grass.
Yes.
And here's the thing: when I was going to plant even more turf on the dog run side of my house, which is mostly wood chips and stone from the garage to the pool area, my wife was like, oh, geez, really? We're going to spend even more money on the water bill? And I said, let me talk to the landscaping guy. And he said, when you bought this house 7 years ago, they put in just the cheapest sprinkler system they possibly could because that was in their interest to, maximize their profit. I said, so what do I do? He said, put a better sprinkler system with a sensor, with, higher quality sprinklers. And I said, well, who does that? He said, well, you have choice of various. And eventually we settled on the Toro products and Toro system. And the bottom line is, even with the additional turf I installed on a third of my house, our water bill is down 30 to 50% every month since we did it, except for 1 month where we had a wider water pipe break. And everything is green and looks beautiful.
Wow.
Oh,
you got the smart controller and everything?
You can have a lawn and save water during a drought.
Yep.
It's not about, look, I'm from a cattle ranching and farming family, and we've been attacked as the agricultural people. Oh, you're using too much water. You use too much water. Well, you know what? The most efficient people that use water and natural resources, frankly, I think are farmers and hunters. And because they've had to learn over time how to do with less. Okay, so in California now, we've had a drought situation for a few years. That doesn't mean you overreact and say, oh, you have to tear your lawn out. You have to do this. We all have to live with, deserts in our front yard. That's not what people want. And frankly, there are ways, as I have learned, to have a nice green lawn and a nice green backyard and still save water. And I just wish that message, instead of the panic message that was going out from the media and from the governor and from everybody else, I wish there was just a more measured response in terms of, okay, we have a water shortage. What are some reasonable things that we can do, like being smarter with how we use the resource? And that's it, and I'll listen to you guys off the air, and thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate
Hey,
it.
thanks for calling.
Like
Really
we said earlier, Mike, with this big El Nino that they're forecasting now, they came out again today. And the thing is, again, there's really no place for them to grab the water in Southern California. A lot of it's just going to wash off to the ocean. We need to dig some holes and get that going. And the rain needs also to go to the mountains, and so it gets to the snowpacks and things. And that's one way of doing it. Even if it fills up the reservoirs that exist, they're still going to say there's a drought and it's going to keep on going. I don't think people are going to, or the water agencies are going to change their direction or their message to everybody of what's happening. But that was nice to hear a message that, and it's right. If you use the right equipment and you're smart about what you do, you can have your turf and reduce your water dramatically. That's an incredible 30 to 50%.
Well, it's when your controllers, they call them smart controllers, adjust the watering time according to the changes in the weather, so that if you have an overcast day, then that means you're going to need less water to be put onto the landscape. Well, that, in fact, is what the controller is going to do. So if it rains, and who would have predicted that we were going to have rain in June and July, you make sure that system is off. And, you take tens of thousands of systems throughout the state of California that don't water when they normally would water. That makes a big difference. Yep. Everybody's doing multiple things. There's no doubt about it. We would not be achieving these 25% plus savings at the state level if people weren't doing a lot of different things, like what Lou did with respect to improving his irrigation system, making sure that leaks are fixed, making sure that we're as efficient with the water that we do use. I know for a fact I've got a little timer in my shower now, and I've got it at count down from 5 minutes, turn off the water when I'm soaping up, just because it's an emergency. It's a drought emergency. And, it's a little inconvenient, but you know what? After about a week, it's kind of like standard procedure, and, that's what we're doing. In fact, you're gonna laugh at this one, Rob. So I got this shaving cream. It's different because when you rub it on, you're supposed to rub it on dry, not wet. And you go ahead and shave, and instead of rinsing off your razor blade, you just flick off the cream, and all of a sudden I'm going, hey, I might be saving a gallon of water there, or half a gallon of water.
Oh, I thought that was shampoo that I used at your place.
How's that?
I thought it was shampoo that I used at your place.
Oh! You thought it was
I'm only kidding. I didn't go there. I didn't break your window. You don't have to worry about that.
Anyway.
Hey, just so the listeners know, a couple of days ago we got caught up with a Supervisor Marion Ashley from the county of Riverside. He represents the 5th District. Just so everybody knows, he's a native of Riverside. He's a deep commitment to the people of Riverside County. He has a family. See, if you think I was bad bringing everybody over to your house, this guy's been married for over 60 years, has 6 children, 19 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. I hate to see what he does at Christmas time. That's going to be...
But, I know for a fact that he has been thinking about and focused on and working as a public servant for many years.
Absolutely.
On water issues.
Yep.
Before this drought, before the last drought.
Yep. He was a Riverside County Planning Commissioner. He was elected to the board of Eastern Municipal Water District, and then he was on the Riverside County Board of Supervisors in 2002 when he got elected. He belongs. You're right. He belongs to the Association of California Water Agencies, Coachella Valley Water Conservation Commission, Flood Control. I can go down a list of things. I even participated with him on his water task force a few years back to help write the water ordinance for Riverside County. But anyway, I want to let the listeners hear what we had to say with him, so we'll bring in Supervisor Ashley.
Awesome.
Well, we'd like to welcome to the show Supervisor Marion Ashley from the county of Riverside. He represents the 5th District. Good afternoon, Supervisor Ashley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Great.
From the county of Riverside perspective, and as a supervisor, how has the drought affected the activities or issues that the supervisors are having to deal with?
Well, it hasn't been a dramatic change, but let me tell you what we've done. We went back like 12 and a half years ago, and we formed a water task force. At that time, the droughts are not new. We haven't had one this bad in a while. We were having them in and out then. At that time, when I was just first elected to the board, I came from a water background. I was a director of Eastern Municipal Water District and served on the Metropolitan Water District Board and some other water agencies. And I saw there was a disconnect between local government and the special districts like the water districts. And we tried to get them together. So first I set up and started doing annual water seminars to try to bring local leaders and get them acquainted with the water situation, and so they would understand where their water came from and how important it was. But at the county level, we formed the water task force. And all the water agencies, all the major ones, almost every water agency in the county participated. And then we started meeting about 12 and a half years ago. And about 10 years ago, we came up with a model, water efficiency landscaping ordinance, which we adopted and became the model throughout the county. And we did this several years before the state got around to coming up with water efficiency and landscaping guidelines. And so we had that in place, and we've been implementing that in all our county buildings, of course, and every commercial and residential lot, home that was built in Riverside County had to follow those guidelines. And so we were there. So when they come up with the say 28%, we basically our water task force, which meets regularly, by the way, they meet about every other month and invite local government leaders and anybody interested in water to come and be kept up on issues. They met and upgraded the ordinance and dialed it down 28%. One of the changes now, there's absolutely no grass in the front yard. Before it was very limited grass, now no grass in the front yard. And we dialed the water system down and retooled it to save another 28%. So that's in effect. A few months ago that was put into effect, and it really hasn't had that much. You can't tell the difference. We're still moving along. Our economies are growing. People are adjusting to it. Right now people are used to try to be more efficient with their cars, and save on electricity, and it's just natural that to be more, it's effective and efficient to save on their water. It's not something that it's like, oh my God, I have to save water. People are getting used to this, to the ethic of being more efficient whether it's, gasoline in their cars or electricity or water. So it was actually, I believe people are heaving to and accepting this much more than they say would have 10 years ago.
What do you see as any issues with the water infrastructure within Riverside County?
Well, the water infrastructure here is pretty good. The water, it's very advanced. But for example, you take our major water agencies like Eastern Municipal Water District and Inland Empire Utilities, another one that's really good at this, and Western Municipal Water District and the Coachella Valley Water District. They're all really using their water from their water treatment plants. So there's no water's wasted. So you flush the toilet, it doesn't just disappear. That water is tertiary treated, and it's fishable, swimmable, but not drinkable. And that water is 100% used. Eastern Municipal Water District uses 100% of their water from their water treatment plants is reused. 100%, none of it's wasted. It's all being reused, and that's basically the same out in Inland Empire Utilities does this and others, and also both Inland Empire Utilities and Eastern in particular, and I think Western has one as well. They're going after the brackish water basins, these basins that have been naturally tainted, where their salt's way over 1,000 parts per million, so you can't drink it, and they're actually reclaiming in that water, and we're drinking it. So we're doing more and more of that. They're doing a lot of things here already, and it's really locally we're doing well. It's a supply from outside for the problem is.
I was going to say that from my perspective, and it almost seems like Orange County Municipal Water District gets more of the press in terms of their reuse of water, and but from what you just recounted, it seems that this has kind of been standard operating procedure for a number of years in the Riverside County. So I think our listeners are going to be kind of proud to know that there are some forward-thinking people that have been making decisions and bringing the right folks together, like the water symposiums and seminars that I think you led and got together, bringing these groups that really weren't talking together, bringing them together and getting them to talk and understand what the future needs for the residents were.
How's the water affecting, or has it affected any of the agriculture in Riverside County?
The agriculture, is limited in the western part of the county, but the part we do have has been using the potable supplies. They have been affected, but they've been affected for some time, and they've been getting more efficient, changing crops. Some of them just changing their crops. Some going to like I said, planting grapes instead of citrus. It uses less water. You're seeing examples like that. They're changing their crops, or in some cases they have to quit farming. But the areas down in the Coachella Valley and out in the Palo Verde Valley where they have water source, they're still thriving. They're strong. They're still producing. And one thing they've done there is they really become more efficient with the use of their water. Everybody talks about ag. Why is an ag having to reduce their water and be rational like everybody else? Well, number one, they are more efficient. They're becoming more efficient every day, and also it's sort of nice to have food to eat.
Yeah. And plus, they typically, in the broader sense of the state of California, are not using potable water for irrigation, and it's not pressurized. It's not. It's not the same water. Typically.
Yeah, this water, has not been treated, so they're using untreated water.
Yeah.
And in the Palo Verde Valley, they've got first claim on the Colorado River, and they've set a real example in Palo Verde, the Palo Verde Irrigation District. They made an arrangement with the Metropolitan Water District years ago, and where they fallow 1/4 of their land, rotate it each year. Yet they move around, and 1/4 of that water saved, they turn around and they sell that to Metropolitan Water District, and we get to drink it. And the good thing about that, actually, by that fallowing, it's made their ground stronger, and they're probably still producing just about as much. And they've taken the money they received and put in, more efficient watering systems and so forth. So it's just it's just been a good thing. We need more examples like the Palo Verde Irrigation District, and of course the deal with the Imperial Irrigation District in San Diego. That's another example to where there was water created by more efficient use of irrigation techniques, and using the money San Diego gave them to do that. Then they're able to take the water safe and sell it to San Diego.
Well, one last question, and we won't keep it. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. What do you see, or what could you recommend to the state that they need to do to help out this drought situation? Do you see any things they're not doing or things that they should be doing?
Well, there's a lot of things that are underway. First of all, we got to go ahead with the Bay Delta Conservation Plan and get the 2 tunnels, through the Delta. It won't bring us any more water, but the water will be more dependable. It'll be every year, and won't be subject to the
federal
things that happen. It won't be susceptible to the rhythm of the bay, for example. And also, it actually will help because they're going to have that to where it can pulse water out and actually help the quality of the bay. That's probably debatable, but that'll help. Another thing, we need more off-site storage, like the Sykes Reservoir, and they're like talking about it. Take Los Vaqueros and making that reservoir bigger, and taking Mount Shasta, which isn't the Shasta, not Shasta, but the Shasta Dam, making that bigger. That'll help supply for irrigation. That's not in our system. We're in the Oroville system, state water system. But that it all helps. So where you say water, it helps us everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you coming on and giving us some real good facts. Again, we try to separate the facts from the myths here on the show, and I hope our listeners enjoyed at least some information that they received from you. And again, we thank you from Mike and I, and you have a great day.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, stick with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes, and with Mike and Rob on the Water Zone Show, KCAA 1050 AM.
Were you involved in an auto accident? Do you know where to go for repairs? Are you tired of getting ripped off by high prices and inferior work? Then visit us at Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, located in Riverside at 6411 Industrial Avenue, Suite A. We have an award-winning team of specialists with more than 40 years of auto body work experience. We were also voted #1 in the Inland Empire by MyFox LA. We work with all major insurance companies and use state-of-the-art equipment to get your car back on the road. We work on all makes and models of cars, including RVs. Our auto paint specialist will make sure the job is done right. At Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, your satisfaction isn't just a goal, it's what drives us. We focus on your needs. Call us for a free estimate at 951-637-1365. That's 951-637-1365. Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint.
Do you have a broken window or rock chip on your vehicle that needs repair? Give us a call at HM Auto Glass, 951-858-5190. HM Auto Glass is your locally owned and operated auto glass specialist, offering low cost and high quality auto glass repair and replacement. We also work with all major insurance companies and offer free mobile service. So call us, 951-858-5190. That number again is 951-858-5190.
KCAA.
Welcome back to the Water Zone Show with Mike and Rob. Hope everybody's having a great day today. We have some great another guest coming on here in a second, and if anybody wants to call in, please do and ask questions. Phone number is 909-888-5222 in the 909 area. If you're outside that area code, that's 888-909-1050. And please do call in. We have some interesting guests. The next guest we got, his name is Greg Weber. He spent most of his career helping Californians to better understand and address the complex challenges facing the state's water system. First as an attorney, and then as a member of the McGeorge School of Law's faculty. He practiced, taught, researched, and wrote about water resource law for over 25 years, and working both with his personal clients and through the Center of Collaborative Policy, he's been helping stakeholders collaborate on water matters for over 15 years. So I'd like to bring to the show Mr. Greg Wepper, the Executive Director of the California Urban Water Conservation Council. Welcome, Greg.
Hi, welcome. And I'm going to have to apologize in advance because I'm at the San Diego airport, and I've been unable to find a tremendously quiet space. So we'll do the best that we can, and if for some reason it's not working from your perspective, let me know, and we can reschedule. Okay?
No, that's fine. We hear you. We hear you pretty good. Mike, you hear him well?
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on the show. I particularly am interested in getting listeners to become more aware of what the CUWCC is and what they're about, because I think they play a very important role in all things about California water.
I know Mike and I interface with you a lot on issues, and we work with your organization. But for our listening audience, can you tell us what the CUWCC is and who your illustrious members are?
Sure. I'm just going to wait for this plane to take off here. So the council's an interesting organization, and it's unique in a way I'll talk about. It's unique in having California water conservation in its name. So if you Google California or Water Conservation California, we're going to show up as one of the first 3 or 4 hits. So we do get a lot of calls from the media, and we get a lot of calls from concerned citizens. But we're a member services organization, and our members are broadly divided into 3 groups. But the biggest group are our water utilities, the water districts, the cities, and some of the all of the investor-owned utilities that provide water. We have about 250 members who provide retail water service, and then another 19 of the largest wholesalers in the state. So our retailers deliver about 45 to 50% of the water that Californians use in their homes and businesses every day, and our wholesalers deliver about 90% of the water that Californians use in home and business. So those are our water suppliers. What makes us unique is that for 25 years we've been in ongoing structured collaboration between my water utilities on the one hand and then a group of nonprofits, largely environmental groups. So there's other groups that have a broader interest in public policy, such as the League of Women Voters. And these 2 groups, it's an interspaced organization. So basically, each group has to agree on an idea or a proposal or a best management practice. And when they do agree, then our utility members have committed to implement these best management practices and then report on them. It's a voluntary organization. All of our members do so because they believe in our mission, which is, in fact, to make California a more efficient a place for water. So that's largely, kind of who we are. Now, what do we do? Well, we're there to serve our members' needs, and when it comes to water efficiency and conservation, they need really 4 main things, and we also provide a 5th. The 4 that we do provide, we have very extensive history catalog, if you will, of research into what works when it comes to water efficiency, whether it's a toilet, whether it's a shower head, what works, what saves water, and does so in a cost-effective way. The second thing that we do for our members is we provide training for a number of their utility folks, particularly for their efficiency managers. Third thing we do is we function as a clearinghouse. So California, as we all know, is huge, and there are hundreds, actually there are thousands of entities that provide water, but the 430 largest ones are spread all over the state. And so we serve as sort of a central hub where people who have good ideas and people who have had successes and failures, for that matter, can interact, and not just in a social networking way, but can, in fact, exchange ideas, brainstorm, and whatnot. The fourth thing we do, and I'm going to talk more about this later on, but the fourth thing we do is we collect data on our members' programs, what they're doing, what it's costing, what's working, and then through that data, they can fine-tune their programs and perhaps learn from some of their peers and also share with their peers. The fifth thing we do, and again, this gets back to what makes us unique, is that we are the only kind of ongoing platform for finding common ground between groups that have many overlapping interests, that is, water suppliers and environmentalists actually agree on more than they disagree, but they do have different perspectives at a minimum. And so we're a place where, they can hash it out, and if they reach consensus, then the water world takes note of that, because whenever you get environmentalists and water utilities agreeing on something, then it's probably a pretty good idea. So that's kind of who we are and what we do.
So, do you really think California's running out of water?
Well, no one's going to die of thirst, okay? That's never going to happen. And in the near term, I would definitely say no. We're not running out of water. Our problem has always been that we don't have the water where we want it. And so that's always our challenge, is matching supply and demand. I do think, though, that the days of abundance are over, the days when, we could count on an abundant snowpack, where we could count on easily reached groundwater, where we could count on imports from whether it's the Colorado or the Delta or the Eastern Sierras. I do think that for a variety of reasons that those days are over, so that the challenge is to manage what we have better. We're in a fourth year of a multi-year drought. Multi-year droughts are certainly not unknown to Californians. Most of us who have been here since at least the 80s have been through one before, maybe two. And back in the 20s and 30s, there was a 7-year drought. So drought has always been part of the California, experience. So again, managing for drought really, in my mind, needs to be an ongoing, continuous process, not just an episodic, not just when, it didn't rain this year. Water is precious, and we know that there are going to be times when it doesn't rain. So we need to be mindful of that when we do have some abundance. So I do think there is more room for efficiency. I do think there's room for some better groundwater management. The legislature took some steps to address groundwater management a couple sessions ago, and I think that's a big step forward. But I also think that it has a 20-year window to really get into full effect, and we can't wait 20 years in many instances to be managing our groundwater better, particularly with the decline in snowpack. While we're experienced with drought, climate change is a new variable, and we are starting to get into uncharted territory. All of the studies show that there will be more extremes and more variability, and so planners have to keep those ranges that perhaps they're not used to in the past in mind. For example, DWR has been studying precipitation in the Sierras and the snowpack for 60-odd years, and they show conclusively that there is less precipitation over time, and more of it has fallen as rain, which means that the snowpack, which is really our biggest surface water reservoir, that has been shrinking, and so again that just needs to be managed a little more carefully, and all sorts of implications for flood management and fishery issues as well.
Well, as I mentioned,
the one thing I will say, though, that if this is year 4 of a 200-year drought, which some of the tree-ring studies suggest, then all bets are off.
Right. Then we will be out of water. So I was hearing that San Bernardino County has a magnificently large aquifer that maybe that'll be the place to move to if we are into that unprecedented type of drought. But I think it's relative. I think it's remarkable that when you think around the California state water infrastructure, reservoirs, dams, aqueducts, underground storage, reclaimed water, that with a population of 36 million plus, that we've had enough water to get us through the 4-year drought, or almost to the end of the 4-year drought, and with the public really participating in an unprecedented way in reducing water consumption, at least in the urban community, and the agricultural community has also reduced their water consumption. I think it's remarkable that we're not in a worse situation than we find ourselves in. I think there's a lot to be commended for the agencies and the departments of the state that have been at this for many years, and of course with the Year Association, with Year Council being in existence since around 1990, a lot has been done there to help communicate the importance of being more valuing water more.
Well, Greg.
Yeah,
well, Greg,
absolutely.
the biggest water users in the state is farming in general. Okay, I think we can maybe all agree to that. And like alfalfa is like the number one.
Well, actually, I was going to say, Rob, just for a second. Now, you've probably, Greg, seen that report from the California Policy Institute, and if you have and you can comment on it, that'd be great. But they put in, I guess, a pie chart that said, hey, 50% of California's water goes for environmental purposes, 40% to agriculture, and then 10% urban.
Yeah, that's
say,
one of those pictures that you can frame in a couple of different ways, and both frames are right. So I'm well aware of the frame that you just said. The other frame was speak not of overall water, but of developed water. So water that is actually taken from a natural system, whether it be above or below ground, or from the sea for that matter, and is turned to human use. Of that, it is still roughly 80% or so is ag, and 20% or so is urban.
Are they doing more for that end of it? I mean, for example, to produce, and this data comes from the Southern California Department of Water Resources, to produce all almonds exported overseas from California, they use 2.3 billions of cubic meters of water for that. And California, grows half of the fruits and veggies in the United States, including more than 90% of the country's grapes, broccoli, almonds, walnuts, and blah, blah, blah. But what I know, they really haven't imposed a whole lot of things on them except for the farmers to come up with some plans that they may want to do. I don't see any harsher regulations as they do for people with their homes. Do you see that coming down the road? Or no, because that'll mess up the environment.
Well, that's a tough question, and my focus is on the urban side, because whatever the ag folks are doing and can do, that's not what my members are principally concerned with. The biggest crop that customers of my members grow is turf, is grass in their front lawn. But the one thing I will say, as far as can ag do more, the answer is absolutely yes. because we can all do more.
Yeah.
But the question isn't what can they do. It's really how should it be done. And people are starting out right now with what I guess you could still call it low-hanging fruit. So the notion of voluntary, even market-driven changes is what's going on right now. So, for example, in Delta, farmers agreed to voluntarily cut back their water by 25%. We have seen a number of relatively low-value cropland fallowed because the water was much more valuable elsewhere. But, we're not going to see the entire state of California plumbed with drip irrigation in the next year or two. But the trends towards being more efficient, I think, are really, pretty well established. The question is, is it enough? And if not, are there incentives that can encourage people to do more? Or is there regulation that needs to be addressed? And as the drought worsens, I think you're going to see, both of those sort of tools, if you will, being employed so that water does end up going to the highest and best use. So,
well, to pick your
anyway,
to pick your brain. To pick your brain on the McGeorge School of Law, since you're the professor emeritus, and I know it's more of that type of question I'm going to ask you versus the council. What legal issues do you see rising concerning water rights? Because that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, well, thanks. I will take my council hat off, and I'll put on my hat as a professor emeritus from the McGeorge School of Law at the University of the Pacific. So I'm going to sort of describe what I think we're going to see. So it would be more descriptive rather than prescriptive. That is what I think perhaps should happen. So I think you're going to see much more action, much more activity by the legislature, particularly where they can get some large areas of agreement. We saw large areas of agreement, not unanimity or full consensus, but back in 2009 with the historic legislation that was passed then, we saw actually quite a lot of unanimity this past summer, or actually last summer when the water bond was put on the ballot. And then in 2013, when the groundwater legislation was done, we saw a fair amount of unanimity. So I think the legislature is keenly interested in this and will keep trying to do something. And I won't opine over what they should do or how effective it'll be, but I think it's pretty safe that we're going to see more legislation. I think it's almost certain that we're going to see more regulatory activity by the state water board. This past spring, as most of your listeners probably know, the state water board issued what were really historic regulations. The first time ever that there were mandatory targets that were set. These are meaningful regulations. The regulations that the board imposed last summer, sort of a trial run, were really fairly basic things that most if not all of my members were largely doing already. But this spring we really saw the board taking meaningful actions, and some districts, as you know, have had to cut back by 36% or so. So I do think we're going to see a state board increasingly comfortable with pushing the edges of its authority. And the edges of its authority are really untested. There are two legal doctrines. Again, most of your listeners have probably heard of these before. Water must be used reasonably and not wastefully. That's so important. California enshrined it in its constitution back in the 1920s. That's Article 10, Section 2. And then there's a doctrine that comes from common law, that is law that has been developed over time as a result of judicial decisions, and that's called the public trust doctrine. And in theory, both of those doctrines give the state board a tremendous amount of power to, in effect, reallocate water. And so it's not an unfettered discretion, but where the limits are, that will be tested over the next few years. I think that's, without a doubt. And then there's one other area where we have been seeing a lot of litigation, and I think we'll continue to see litigation up to the time that we have a more definitive or a different constitutional ruling, and then that's the law governing water pricing. Proposition 218, passed by the voters back in the 90s, is one of the siblings of Prop 13. Has done a lot of good things. It has, though, at least as recently interpreted by an appellate court, it substantially narrows the ability of water service providers to use conservation pricing as a way to, allocate the cost of their system so that the people who use the most pay a proportionately higher rate. So I think we're gonna see some jockeying for, additional judicial interpretations that might cut a different way and give agencies a little more discretion to allocate the water costs. And it's possible that we might see a California Supreme Court decision giving some greater clarification to this. And then it's also possible that there may be some sort of constitutional action taken via legislative action or via public initiative. So I do think we are going to see some substantial developments in the law, but the law is a very slow process. It changes very slowly. And so it's really in our best interest to work together under the shadow of the law, basically, and not need to test the outer limits. Let's first test our abilities to solve our problems without dragging the courts in.
Great.
But again, that's my personal opinion.
Okay. Well, we're running up against some time, so we wanted to thank you very much for joining us today, and appreciate you participating. Pleasure. And thanks a lot for that. And we just got about a minute left, so I appreciate it.
I was just going to say that your elucidation of the law and its impact on what's going on today and what the issues are amongst the big players, the state of California, as well as the big users, agriculture and urban communities as well. That was very, very enlightening, and just thank you for sharing that with us.
Great.
My pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Well, just so everybody knows, next week on our show we have Larry Rolfes from the California Landscape Contractor Association, and it's going to be a very interesting person named Scott Slater. He's the CEO of Cadiz, Inc., and they're a large water district, and got some interesting information that he's going to give on that. So we'll have that for next week, Mike, so that'll be pretty good. Hope everybody joins us. Again, congratulations to Brett and Dominique Jorgensen. They were the winners we announced last week for the yard retrofit. I was over their house today, and nice people, and we'll be getting started on that project very, very soon. And don't forget, people, when you have your systems, 3 simple things: improve your irrigation system performance, fix leaks, replace spray heads, improve your irrigation schedules and water management practices, and adjust plant care practices. If you do those 3 things, you'll save water, you'll save your turf, you'll have a wonderful yard, and everybody will be happy. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Mike, have a great vacation. Sorry you had to take time out of that, but we do appreciate you being here.
I love to talk about water.
I know you do. And I won't use your house, I promise.
Hey, okay. And if folks want to get more information about those tips that you just identified, they can go to totalwatersmart.com and check things out there, especially those times.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Hi, welcome to AT&T.
Hi, can you tell us more about rollover data?
Yeah, what do we have to do?
Not a thing. If you're a Mobile Share Value customer, your unused plan data automatically rolls over for 1 month. It's our way of saying thanks.
That's so wonderful.
Let's hug.
Oh, that's okay. We don't have to.
I think we do.
Yeah, I think we do.
Nice.
Let's bring it in. Oh.
Oh, wow. And we're hugging. All 3 of us. Really hugging. Ooh, who smells like bacon?